Today, Enzo Maresca officially starts his work at Chelsea. So, like I did for his predecessor last year, I'm going to break down what the Italian needs to achieve in order to be a success. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and these are 5 things Enzo Maresca must do at Chelsea Football Club. Number 1. Implement his style. Enzo Maresca has a very distinct style. Controlled, possession-based, passing football. This is vastly different to the back-and-forth transitional attacking play that Mauricio Pochettino employed during his tenure, and that drastic change could take some of the players' time to adapt. So, Enzo needs to lay down the blueprint for this system immediately, identify which players suit his system and who is surplus to requirements, settle on his starting 11 and bench, and stick to the plan. He needs to stamp down his authority early, set the standard for what he wants to see in pre-season, and then continue to enforce and encourage those ideas throughout the season. Part of the reason Chelsea were so poor last season was Pochettino's bizarre abandonment of the successful 3-2-5 system he used in pre-season, as well as the disregard for players he had been using to great effect during that time like Ian Martin and Andre Santos. He reverted to another system the players had no idea how to play, and it took us a long time to finally start seeing some cohesion in the team. All that momentum we built up in the Premier League Summer Series was thrown out of the window, and our poor start to the season, unable to get above 10th position until match week 20, prevented us from ever realistically challenging for the top 4, or indeed the title. Enzo can't make that same mistake. We know the style he wants to play, so let's play it. The whole point of pre-season is to prepare the players for the season upcoming and get them regimented and drilled for what is required of them. Let's gain momentum in the months before the season, get that confidence built up, and then be ready to attack the league with gusto. The fixture list has been announced, and despite drawing Manchester City for the first game of the season, the matches following it should be winnable games on paper. A win versus City on the opening day could be the springboard that this team needs to finish high, but that all starts with Enzo Maresca installing his new system. On that first game of pre-season, we need to see those ideas. The inverted right fullback, the goalkeeper coming into the back 4, the box midfield to overload the centre of the pitch, creating those 1v1 scenarios out wide and with the striker, even if they don't immediately bring success. And if that is the case, don't give up on it. We've seen in the past that Enzo can be really stubborn when it comes to playing this system and this system only, and I think that's a good thing. It shows he has belief and confidence in the way this style operates, and playing through the difficulties, if we have any, in pre-season and getting those mistakes out of the way early is not only bold and admirable, but snide and cerebral. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, with the players all now being familiar with each other's games, bar the new signings, and we can seriously crack on come pre-season. Number 2. Solidify the defence. It's no secret that despite the exciting attacking football we played at times last season, our defending was absolutely woeful, costing us not only points in the table but Champions League qualification, the EFL Cup, and the subsequent money from earning those achievements. We looked lost from set pieces, were unable to defend high balls into the box, had zero coordination at times, and generally conceded far too many goals to be top contenders. And personally, I don't believe it was due to having bad defenders. It was more so to do with the lack of organisation at the back, the lack of a consistent game plan, and the lack of a consistent back 4, obviously due to our injury crisis. If we are to progress as a team, we need to correct these issues, stop conceding so many chances, but do so in a balanced manner, not sacrificing our offensive capabilities at the same time. Enzo Maresca must find a way to strengthen our defence, and with the new system giving us 5 men back for transitions instead of 3, some of these issues should cease to exist. That, along with the different but familiar counter-pressing style that the Italian likes to employ, should in theory help solidify the backline. Signings like Tosin Adarabioyo and the rumoured Riccardo Calafiori would certainly help achieve this, but also the changes to the coaching staff too. Not only are Chelsea bringing in Bernardo Cueva from Brentford, an excellent set-piece coach and one of the reasons Brentford were so successful from theirs, but new backroom staff members too, like Michele De Bernardin, who's our new goalkeeping coach, and assistant manager and ex-Chelsea goalkeeper in his own right, Willy Caballero. Enzo Maresca needs to work with all of these men in harmony, get us a strong foundation to build off of, to allow us to then play the intricate possession-based attacking football we know he wants to play. And if his record at Leicester is anything to go by, he should be able to do this pretty comfortably. The Fox has only conceded 41 goals in a 46-game season, or 0.89 goals per match. In comparison to Chelsea, we conceded a record-high 63 goals in 38 games, being the 9th worst team in the league defensively, with almost double the goals per match with 1.66. As long as he can avoid the horror show that we had last season, I think we'll be good, but it is vital that he manages to do this quickly, and hopefully we get to see a glimpse of what the Italian is cooking in pre-season in the next few months. Number 3, manage the profiles. One of the most infuriating things about Pochettino's tenure at Chelsea was the complete disregard to player profiles and the inability to fully get the most out of this squad. We saw Colwill playing at left back, Chilwell playing at left wing, and Ian Martin playing pretty much anywhere but in his natural position. Enzo Fernandez was a square peg shoved into a round hole, being forced high up the pitch in an inside 10 role that was frankly never going to work, didn't work, and ended up wasting a season of his career. All of that was to accommodate other less technical players such as Conor Gallagher and Chilwell, and ultimately it didn't work, with Pochettino having us floundering in mid-table for almost the entire season. Enzo Maresca absolutely needs to get the best out of this talented group of young players, firstly by identifying the types of players we have in the side and utilising them in the best way to get results, and aid their development. Positive signs have already been cropping up in that regard, with Enzo Fernandez being earmarked as one player in particular that Maresca has identified as majorly important, and with how well the Italian sets up his midfield, it wouldn't surprise me if he plays our best passer deeper where he can control possession and also find his teammates with long passes, not shoved 80 yards up the pitch getting a nosebleed where he can only play backwards. Not only this, but Maresca will have to be able to identify when certain profiles of players simply won't work against a certain opponent, or in certain games. We saw many cases last season of Chelsea being unable to break down teams because we opted to use players that weren't good at line breaking passes or weren't good aerially if we were playing balls into the box from wide areas. That inability to beat teams like Brentford, Burnley, Forest, Everton and Wolves for example seriously cost us, and Enzo will need to know when it's time to use a different profile of player if it isn't working against these types of teams. Because of how Enzo's tactics function, a lot of the positions require specific characteristics and traits, so hopefully this issue won't appear too often under him, as he'll handpick certain players for each role. Number 4, connect with the fans. Something that's more important than a lot of people think is the connection between the supporters and the head coach. We've seen it in the past that our previous successful managers have all had that respect and admiration from the blue crowd, and when everyone is on the same page and singing from the same hymn sheet, it benefits the players and the team as a whole. The 12th man effect is incredibly important for any football team to have, giving the players an on-field boost during games, but also the confidence and belief in themselves in general, elevating the squad mentally as well as physically. Take Newcastle United as a prime example. St James's Park has been a nightmare to go to all of last season and the season before because the crowd is fully invested in their team and how it operates under Eddie Howe. They only lost 3 games at home all season, winning 12 out of 18 matches at their home patch, and you can tell from the support that they believe in the manager's ideas and fully back him and the team to do well. For Chelsea it was a different story though. Half of us were Poch in, half of us were Poch out, and there was never a time when the fanbase was fully behind the chaos ball that Pochettino was playing. There was never the faith and the belief that we could win anything and progress upwards until the last 5 weeks of the season. Maresca has to quickly get us all on board with the way his team functions with results, good performances and getting the most out of fan favourites like Palmer and Enzo. He needs to be good in his interviews and press conferences, show the mentality that we want our head coach to have, be passionate about this club in and out of games, and give us a clear reason to buy into his ways, uniting us together like we weren't under previous managers. Other managers like Thomas Tuchel managed to do this really well, and in turn it helped the team to progress to bigger and better things. Hopefully Enzo Maresca can follow in the footsteps of our other beloved Italian managers of days gone, like Antonio Conte, Carlo Ancelotti and Roberto Di Matteo. And number 5, win something. It is of the utmost importance that we don't just settle for a decent finish in the table this year. Top 4 would be nice and I would expect us to get it, but there needs to be a little more than that. We are going to be competing in the Premier League, the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, the UEFA Conference League and the Club World Cup this season, and if one of those pieces of silverware doesn't end up in the blue side of London's trophy cabinet, I think it will be a massive disappointment. This group of players are good enough to get to finals, we've seen it. Now we must push on and go that one step further, because this is Chelsea. We are winners, but we are without an honour for 3 years and are itching to get back on the horse. Personally, I think the UEFA Conference League is absolutely realistically achievable for us, and adding that to our other European honours would extend the gap to the other London clubs further than it already is. That would also make us the only club to have won all three of the Champions League, Europa League and Conference League, and the first to ever do it, etching our names in history. We simply cannot go trophyless for the fourth year in a row. We need to start seeing the fruits of this new project and this new ownership's labour, and winning titles under Maresca is just another way for him to endear himself to the Chelsea faithful like we discussed earlier. Personally, I think he's a good enough coach to be able to bring us some silverware this season upcoming, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see whether that becomes a reality or not. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues!